keeps unfolding. And it's also true that these blessings of life not only are the cycles of the day, the cycles of the week, the cycles of the seasons, the cycles of the year, but there's the longer arc even of our lives. There's the blessing of birth and new life. There's the promise of eternal life that gathers us up even when creaky bones and joints and difficulties and even the prospects of death itself confront us, because even there we're reminded that death doesn't get the last word, right? And we have in the hope of eternity something for now and forever. And in that spirit we celebrate and give thanks to God. Gayla, come on up here. We're going to have a little conversation together and celebrate abundance a little bit more. Yeah, watch your step there. That's snake cord will get you. So as we all know, we've been celebrating the fact that there is abundance. And yes, we all have our shirts, just in case we forget, right? And my experience, I'll just speak for myself now, but I think a lot of others could as well, that in my time here, there have been many people in the life of this church whose love, whose generous spirit has been in great evidence. But I'm talking to you right now, and I just want to say to you that I have appreciated the spirit of love and generosity that you express in your life, in your service in the church, and in the stories I've learned about your life, and some that you'll probably be sharing here momentarily. But that doesn't happen by accident. So the first question I got to ask you is, what are some of the forces, influences, that have impacted your outlook on life, this sense that there is abundance and you're wanting to live into it?
Okay, well, I think that probably most of it is contributed to heritage. I was blessed with a loving family who loved God, and my grandparents. We were raised in a Baptist church. My brother Hereford baptized me at a very young age, and just through all of our daily activities in our church camp and vacations, learning a love for nature through my father, learning love of people, all came from, I think, my family. It was just instilled in me. So,
you know, I think over and over again, those of us who were in homes where that was celebrated, faith was important, it does make a real difference. And not everybody gets to have that story, experiences it in other ways. How have you, through time, and you may even talk more currently now, how have you experienced abundance? How have you seen it at work in your life?
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to say that also my family, I have a sister in Arkansas, and we were talking about this, and she said, sometimes I almost feel guilt or shame for the joy that we feel, and it's like you should never feel that. So it is a spiritual gift to have that joy. But in my daily life, I think that, let me look at my notes here. Oh, well, two things. All the time through my life, I've seen abundance, and obviously there were times when there was some brokenness, and I pulled away from God. And I think in '92, I was back in the church, in Oakland Christian Church, a little country church outside of Columbia. And my kids were real little. The girls were, Kara was in kindergarten, and so Courtney was about 3 and had a daycare. I was stricken with an illness, Guillain-Barré, and I was scared, you know. I was paraplegic and had to close my daycare, and that was a time in my life when the church came together. I totally learned to trust in God's provisions, and it was phenomenal because it was them that brought me back, I think, and helped me develop a desire to have a closer relationship with Christ. And of course, most recently, I was renewed when I got to go to Puerto Rico. So that experience in itself was so awesome. I spoke on it on Wednesday night. Just to witness the people there and their faith and their graciousness was, again, a renewal in my own faith.
Say it just a little bit more about that, because you experienced abundance as you watched the life they lead. They're all just wealthy, affluent leaders in the government and business leaders who make a lot of money and that sort of thing, right?
No. Some of you came and watched my presentation on Wednesday, and the devastation there was overwhelming. But because of, I mean, they had that faith, and they asked for prayer, and that's why I think they were so gracious for us who came, because, you know, the government didn't get there right away, and they're still struggling. They struggle with poverty, and they struggle with disease, and there were 3,000 people lost in that. They finally figured out. They didn't even know, because, so anyway, I think that seeing God and helping, you know, people know this through missions and through, like, Samaritan's Purse is down there working, obviously praying Pelican missions, and there's other groups too, and churches, and rebuilding them and having that connection with them.
I was really struck by the joy that they expressed and the generosity that they showed and the gratitude they expressed that was really remarkable under their circumstances. It's all the more striking, isn't it?
It was. When I went up the mountain to the church that we were connected with, I just felt God's grace and God's glory when I walked into that sanctuary, and their arms were all so wide open. So it was a miracle.
So just a final question for you then. How does experiencing that, the benefits of a heritage, these extraordinary experiences in life that become life-shaping, how has that impacted the way you go about living?
Okay, well, I think all of the experiences, including this past one, just again renews my faith so that I seek a closer relationship. I don't just go to God for intercessory prayer for my petitions. I think that I've learned to have him with me all day long and pray continually. And I knew I was going to start crying. But I think all that I do in my friendships and my seeking sisters, I think I seek his nearness, his presence all the time.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that so much. There is abundance. It flows over us. It flows through us. We'll talk more about that before the service is over. Thanks.